When something insane unfolds right in front of your eyes, if you can't immediately help the situation, it seems that the first instinct nowadays is to whack out your phone and record. But when you press that record button, nobody expects to capture a total nightmare, and certainly no one expects to capture a clip before horror. Yet it happens more than you'd think. And in this video, we're going to take a look at 5 more disturbing examples. This week, we've got clips from all across the world that are bound to leave you speechless. So draw the curtains and strap in. Let's get right into it. Now, this case recently popped up in the news, and while technically it's a body cam and not a clip before horror, the entire thing shocked me so much that I just had to include it. This horrifying entry begins, and I'll pronounce it correctly this time, in Chelmsford, Essex, in June of 2019. In Chelmsford, specifically on Pump Hill in Great Baddow, lived John and Lois McCulloch, as well as their youngest of 5 daughters, Virginia McCulloch. Virginia lived with her parents very happily in their family's semi-detached home on Pump Hill until June of 2019, when Lois and John mysteriously disappeared. Now, the pair weren't reported missing or anything by family or friends. They just stopped showing up to doctor's appointments, stopped seeing friends and family, and stopped being seen outside. At home, the curtains remained closed, so nobody could see who was home. It was as if they both vanished. Now, after their disappearance, their daughter Virginia continued about her day-to-day life, going out to the local area to buy groceries, and when people asked where John and Lois had gone, Virginia would just say that they'd gone on holiday, that they were ill, or had retired and moved from the area. At the time people were asking this, it was during the COVID lockdown, so these excuses were believed at first. However, by late 2023, almost 4 years after they were last seen, these excuses didn't hold up anymore, and officials began to suspect that something was wrong. In September of 2023, John and Lois's doctor raised concerns for their welfare. Their daughter Virginia, as I said, had previously quelled these concerns with a range of excuses, but when they got really ridiculous, their GP contacted the police for a welfare check. On September the 3rd, 2023, the police finally began investigating John and Lois's disappearances. At first, they treated it as a missing persons case, but when Virginia told police that her parents were travelling and would return in a month, they started to get suspicious. This brings us to the horrific footage in question. On Friday, September the 15th, 2023, the police arrived at their family home, and what they discovered inside would shock everyone. They bashed the back door in, and inside they found Virginia stood in the hallway. Tasers were drawn, and here she instantly spilt the horrific, grisly truth.
No one in here at the moment. Hold on. The police. Got it. Stay where you are. Stay where you are. Show me. Stay where you are. Show your hands. You here?
Jenny?
Yep.
Jenny?
Yeah.
Oh. The time is 12:12. You're under arrest on suspicion of murder against Jonathan McCulloch and Lois McCulloch.
Yeah.
Okay? You don't have to say anything, but in my home defence, you did not
No, I just
mention
take my cover.
when in question, so much like just want anything to do something with your business. Okay? Alright, your arrest is necessary
I'll
for a
cooperate.
prompt and effective.
Is there anything in the pocket we should know about?
Yes, there
Where?
is. Can I take you to it?
No, you can tell me.
Can you go in there for a second, just so I can tell you something about what's in there?
Yeah.
Thank you. And then
Yeah, I'll tell us
the only
something
reason I
about what's in
said I need to tell you something about what's upstairs on the top floor as well.
It's fine.
Yeah, okay.
It's a bit more quieter.
Yeah.
Is it in there okay?
Yeah.
Yes, mind your feet, so obviously
Yeah.
we can
Honestly, a lot of fun.
No, it's fine.
I know, but obviously I've got to be careful. My dad's body's in there.
Right, okay.
Yep, okay. Obviously I'll
What about
say,
your mum?
a little bit more complicated.
Okay.
That's why I said, can I go upstairs and show
Right,
you.
can you
If
explain
wanna
it to us,
bring
please? Because
officers,
we're trying to preserve this. It's now going to be seen, so we need to preserve this the best we can. So I don't want you to have you walking up there, all right? Because that's for your well-being as well as ours.
Oh, no, up.
Okay.
Up.
So what?
Thank you.
Where will we find your mum?
Well, possible.
Where will we find your mum?
Okay, so upstairs there are about 5 wardrobes.
Yep.
It's behind the bed, but back next to the sink. That's the second one. I've slipped 5 of those into his drink. There were about 2 or 3 drinks that I brought downstairs. And yeah, they were basically, he didn't drink all of them. He only drank probably about half of 2. But yeah, when I went in the morning, this was before my mother. When I went in the morning, early hours, I got up about half an hour early, about 6 o'clock in the morning. Came in and he was gone. He was gone.
Okay.
It's
up to you if you want to talk.
Yeah.
But the thing is, purpose of your arrest. Purpose of your arrest is for a prompt, effective investigation as well as by questioning you. We can't do that here. It needs to be done at a police station, all right?
She said that she had poisoned John and Lois by lacing their tea with a cocktail of prescription drugs on the 17th of June, 2019, approximately 4 years and 2 months ago. She said that her dad had consumed enough of the toxic drink and he was found dead the following day. But her mother Lois was still alive. Fearing that she'd find out what Virginia had done, she crept into her room in the morning, and while she was listening to the radio in bed, she pummeled her in the head multiple times with a hammer, in her own words, like someone badly playing a xylophone. When she found that this wasn't killing her mother fast enough, she then stabbed her to finish the job. Then, in a shocking turn of events, Virginia then got in her car, drove to a local shop, and purchased a pair of plastic gloves and a couple of sleeping bags using her father's credit card, before returning to the home where she set about concealing both of their remains. All at home, Virginia had created a makeshift mausoleum using breeze blocks and blankets and hid her dad's body in the ground floor bedroom. This tomb can even be seen on the body cam. After entombing her father, Virginia then went upstairs and wrapped her dead mum in a sleeping bag before stashing her behind sleeping bags and duvets in an upstairs wardrobe. She then hid the various murder weapons around the house and went about her life as if nothing had happened.
I did know that this would kind of come eventually. It's proper that I serve my punishment. So, yeah.
Okay, so Virginia, I'm just going to ask you this. This is what I've written down based on the information you just told us, because what we regard as a significant comment, because you've made it under caution after your arrest.
By the way, are part of they're my granddad's.
Okay, right. So I've written this, please. I, Virginia McCulloch, have informed Police Constables 77329 Brown and 79387 Bowers after entering my house on Friday the 15th September 2023 that I murdered my father, John McCulloch, who was stated was under a bed in the rear ground floor of the house, and my mother upstairs in a cupboard next to the sink.
Wardrobe. It's a double wardrobe.
Right, okay, I've written
Double
cupboard.
Wardrobe. It's like 4 wardrobe doors, but it's the one nearest the sink. Double wardrobe.
The cupboard.
Yeah.
What's significant as I've written down there here now, I've just read out to you. Are you happy to sign that, to say that's a true account?
Yeah. Cheer up, at least you caught the bad guy.
I've just woken up today and done my job. No.
I know I don't seem
Not a lot.
100% evil, but we all, yeah.
I'm not going to comment on anything. It's not my job to comment on it, okay? Because I've got to be impartial with everything, okay? So I'm not going to give any comment.
No, well, I mean, I deserve to obviously get whatever's coming sentence-wise, because that's the right thing to do. And that might give me a bit of peace. Also in the handbag as well, there's and again, because you're probably going to need to know about it, there's a card in there, card one money. And that's a bank card where there's a lot of transactions that have taken place over the last few years from money that pertains to my parents.
She confessed all of this in great detail to the officers, even signing away that she'd said it on a notepad at the scene. She seemed insanely calm for what she was describing. It's like she had got used to the reality of what she'd done. She said that she was half expecting this to happen someday, and when officers were clearly shocked at what she was saying, she told officers to cheer up and that they caught the bad guy now. Virginia was swiftly arrested for her parents' murders and taken to the local police station, where here, further body cam shows Virginia guide officers to the still bloody murder weapon, all while crocodile tears are flowing.
So, murder weapon is upstairs in the toilet room, kitchen knife, it's in the middle of the brown carpet, against the wall, opposite the shelves. So there are two long white shelves, so opposite where that wall is, that's where the knife is. So next bit is very hard to talk about. That's probably the most grisly detail. So on the ground floor, underneath the stairs, there's a few like storage boxes and things. And in the middle, I think it's in one of the boxes or in a bag or something. If you want me to shush after this, it's fine. But every bit helps. You will find forensic bits helpful. There's a hammer. I know, but I'm trying to help so you find everything. It's in the middle, underneath the stairs. It will still have blood on it. It's rusted, but it will still have blood traces on it. So not cooperating is futile.
Yeah.
There's no point in not cooperating. There really isn't. And plus, apart from it anyway, I should pay for what has come. That's the side of the point, I think. So, yeah.
Now, I bet you've got so many questions here. How did no one notice, and why would she do this? Well, documents recovered inside the property painted a picture of a woman desperately trying to keep her parents from discovering a financial black hole that she had dug after spiraling into debt. She told her parents that she'd lost money due to weird scams online, and even forged letters from the bank to prove it to them, when in fact, she had just squandered the money gambling. To Lois and John, Virginia was the perfect idol daughter. They both believed that she was a well-qualified individual and was working hard to become an artist, even telling them both that once she got big and famous, that they would both be rich from her work. But this was all a front. Virginia was nothing of what she told her parents that she was. By the time of the murders, she was unemployed and had built up £60,000 worth of debt. She repeatedly lied to her parents, saying that she did have a job. Her entire existence was a lie. Over the years that she'd lived with her parents, she reaped the financial rewards of manipulating them and taking advantage of their kindness. She'd been living there rent-free, spending her parents' money, and when things got really bad financially, she lost the plot and killed them both in horrific ways. She stashed their bodies and continued to live in the house alongside them, all while claiming their pensions for 4 years. For those 4 years after their deaths, their bodies decomposed in the downstairs bedroom and the upstairs bedroom. It must have stunk so bad. But yeah, no one knew, no one caught on. Meanwhile, Virginia had continued to frequent supermarkets and local grocery stores that her parents had visited while they were alive. She even joked to staff that the police were after her and that they think I've killed my parents. So she was even joking to people that she'd done this. Absolutely abhorrent. Now then I wondered, how did no one find out about this? How did the siblings not discover sooner? Well, it was revealed in court that Virginia had also deceived relatives by sending birthday cards, gifts, and even personalised text messages that kept up the pretense that they were both still alive. All while continuing to use their parents' credit cards to spend their hard-earned pension, racking up debts in their name, splurging £21,000 on gambling after their deaths. In total, over the 4 years after the murders, Virginia profited around £150,000 from spending on their credit card, claiming their pension, and selling things from inside the property. Now, this shocked the local community, the whole of the UK, and I'm sure it will shock the world. Virginia was held in custody until her trial of July the 4th, 2024. When she appeared in court, she did not look up from the floor and stared at the ground emotionless. It was only when she listened back to the interview with police, where she described her mother's murder, that she began to weep. One of the police officers from Essex Police that arrested her said her otherwise composed reaction in court was typical of the considered, meticulous murderer that she was. He said that Virginia had lied about almost every aspect in her life, maintaining a charade to deceive everyone close to her. He finished his statement saying that Virginia is an intelligent and adept manipulator who chose to kill her parents callously and without a thought for them or those who continue to suffer as a result of their loss. The judge who sentenced Virginia said that she had elaborately planned and then maintained this horrific web of deceit for over 4 years. To accomplish this, it would have involved a substantial degree of both premeditation and planning. During her trial, it was revealed that Virginia had tested the drugs on her parents in the days leading up to the murders, using her dad as a guinea pig. She'd lied to family, friends, doctors, police, and in 2019, she had gone out of her way over a period of 3 months to accumulate a large amount of prescription drugs. In May 2019, she even purchased the kitchen knife that she'd used to kill her mother. She'd bought it as a failsafe just in case the drugs didn't work. She'd also bought tools to crush and separate the tablets, showing clear planning and premeditation. The judge said that Virginia thought more about money than she did about humanity. After pleading guilty to 2 counts of murder, Virginia was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum term of 36 years. The family home in Chelmsford was boarded up with metal and left to rot, an ominous reminder of what true horrors occurred inside. Now, this is sick on so many levels. How could she possibly live with the 2 corpses of her parents for 4 years? It's unbelievable. It's absolutely sickening stuff. As always, I'm interested in your thoughts below. I say this in my videos quite often, but life can be taken in an instant. It can be snatched away when you least expect it, on a day where you least expect it. Sadly, this tragic story is a perfect example of that. With that in mind, this footage was recorded on September the 27th, 2024, in the capital of Georgia, Tbilisi. On the night of September the 27th, 24-year-old Irina Glazunova was out with her friend in town, sharing a few drinks and having fun. This is when she decided that she'd record a TikTok video for her social media. The haunting footage starts, and it shows 24-year-old Irina confidently dancing to the Russian boy band Hunger Boys song For the Last Time, the name being an eerie coincidence, foreshadowing what was about to happen. All on video, Irina can be seen looking at the phone, walking down the street without actually looking where she was going. She was singing and having a good time. The phone is passed to her friend and then back again. Unfortunately, as she is recording her friend, she captures her shocked reaction as Irina stumbled headfirst over a small wall into an underground metro overpass entrance, falling head first. Irina's panic screams can be briefly heard in the clip before it cuts to black. Sadly, Irina had fallen headfirst down this hole and tumbled all the way to the bottom. Her friend immediately dialed emergency services, and despite them rushing her to hospital, unfortunately nothing could be done to save her life, and she died later that day due to severe head injuries and a broken neck. Social media users have expressed their absolute shock at this tragedy, with several commenting on the safety of the entrance to the underground station. All they have is around a 2 to 3 feet wall on the ground, which surely just going to trip anyone who's not looking where they're going. And in this case, this is exactly what happened. In the UK, there would be a barrier to stop people from falling in, not just a tiny wall that actually trips users into their death. It's wild that it's allowed to be built like this in the first place. At the bottom of the stairs in Tbilisi, where the tragic incident took place, locals laid flowers to pay respects to Irina. But next time you decide to record a TikTok in public, look where you're going, because this was needlessly tragic. On the afternoon of Friday, May the 31st, 2024, northern Italy seemed to catch a break from weeks of storms. The heavy rains that had drenched the region suddenly paused, allowing the sun to draw people to the Natisoni River, located in Primariaco. 3 people who decided that it would be a fun idea to visit the river that day was 20-year-old Patrizia Kormos, her 23-year-old friend Bianca Doros, along with her 25-year-old boyfriend Christian Molnar. 2 of the group were from Romania, and Patrizia, a student at the Fine Arts University in Udine, had asked her mother if she could go on the trip with her 2 friends after finishing her exams. That day, despite looking like it had cleared up, there was in fact a weather warning for heavy rain and a danger for strong thunderstorms. Her mum warned her not to go near the river, but Patrizia told her mum not to worry and not to be angry. Now, they didn't know this at the time, but that day they had planned to go to a part of the river that is usually out of bounds as it floods very easily. But this is something that the group was unaware of. Ignoring her mother's warning, the group approached the riverbank with laughter and excitement, arriving at around 1 PM. As the trio walked along the dry riverbed, focused on taking selfies, the atmosphere suddenly shifted. Dark, ominous clouds began to gather above. It began to trickle with rain, and this trickle soon became a downpour. Just days before, storms had swelled the river significantly, and apparently locals were well aware of how quickly the river can change, but sadly, the group were totally unaware and caught off guard. Within literally minutes of the rain starting, the river began to swell and flood. The dry ground beneath their feet soon became a raging torrent of water. The water level rose rapidly. All they could do was hold on to each other for safety. Patrizia, Bianca and Christian soon found themselves stranded on a small pebble island, sadly just a few meters from the shore, just a few meters from total safety. At this point, they could have chosen to wade through the chest-deep water and try to escape, but the 3 of them chose not to. Panic gripped them as the current surged around. They hesitated, and within just a minute, it was now too late for them to escape. Realizing that they were now completely trapped, in a moment of desperation, one of the girls called for help. They were told to hold on to each other as a group and plant their feet to avoid being swept away. Just due to where they were, firefighters took 25 minutes to get to them, and by the time they had arrived, it was almost too late. Positioned from a nearby bridge, one firefighter shouted instructions, urging the group to stay together and hold on to one another. The firefighters, stood just 7 meters away from the group, were forced to watch in horror as the overwhelming force of the flood washed away the 3 friends. Firefighters made a last-ditch attempt downstream to catch the group using a crane and lowering a rope. They threw it down, and as they floated by, horrifyingly, none of them could catch a grip, and they were enveloped by the water.
Called by local residents, the fire brigade attempted to rescue them with a rope from a crane.
Prendi la corda!
But were unsuccessful. Early Friday, the group were reported missing. The incident occurred in the village of Primariaco in northern Italy, which was on yellow alert for flooding. The part of the Natisone River that is off limits because it is known to flood seemed calm when they arrived, but they found themselves trapped within minutes.
Within an instant, the water swept them away, and just like that, they were gone. Absolutely heartbreaking stuff. They had no idea what they were wading into. In the following days, a massive search operation ensued, involving drones, boats, and divers, all scouring the river for any signs, but nothing was found. The community rallied together and worked as a team to search for any clue, hoping for a miracle that they were still alive. Eventually, a handbag was discovered, still containing the mobile phone that they used to call for help. The search and rescue continued, and on the 3rd of June, Patrizia and Bianca were found. They were found just a kilometre away from where the horrible footage was captured. And 20 days later, on the 23rd of June 2024, Christian was finally recovered, bringing a tragic close to this heartbreaking ordeal. Afterwards, one rescuer said that only a stretch of a couple of meters of water separated them from the bank. The rescuer added that they would have had the opportunity to escape and save themselves, but they were in such a panic that this opportunity was missed. The loss of Patrizia, Bianca, and Christian is a tragic reminder of how swift a normal day can turn into one of sorrow. But that is the end of the video. May everyone featured rest in peace. Now, I say this in literally every one of my videos now, but this video was crazy. Just when you think you can't be shocked by anything, I find cases like this. I honestly can't believe the first entry. Virginia murdering her parents, then living next to the bodies for 4 years, meanwhile telling friends and family that they'd gone on holiday or they'd moved away, is absolutely sickening. It's really some kind of horror movie type shiz. Personally, for me, one of the worst parts about this case is the fact that she sent text messages and Christmas cards to deceive her family. How shocking is that? The body cam footage is definitely nightmare fuel, and seeing the makeshift crypt in the background is wild. I'm really glad that she's going to spend the majority of the rest of her life in prison, because what kind of maniac is capable of doing something like this? Next up, we've got Irina, who tragically stumbled while recording a TikTok in Georgia. That footage is a shocking reminder to pay attention when you're out and about. Don't just be looking at your phone if you're walking in the street, especially if you're not familiar with the area. However, the stairs with the tiny wall above it is seriously a death trap. While researching this, I read a comment on Reddit that said this kind of infrastructure is illegal in the UK, so I wonder how many others have fallen and died in this exact same spot. And last, but certainly not least, the group of 3 that found themselves trapped in a storm in the middle of a surging river is ridiculously horrifying and tragic. All 3 of them failed to heed storm warnings that day, and instead chose to wander to their own doom. As they were all fairly young, it's obvious that they just didn't know any better, and it's tragic that this mistake cost them their lives. What's worse is, according to witnesses, they were really close to the shore. Some people wondered why they didn't even attempt to get to shore, while others have stated that the river would have been way too fast at this point in time anyway, and they would have all been swept away. To me, it's worth a try, isn't it? But, as always, I'm interested in all of your opinions below. You guys know I try to read each and every one, so do let me know what you thought. But just before I go, if you look down there and you're not subscribed, go ahead and destroy that sub button now, and make sure you tickle that notification bell to be alerted when I release content such as this. But I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.